Yeah, I mean, he was an argumentative one. He was an argumentative one. Hey, folks. Sorry, I messed up completely, and I got the wrong link. I got the link for the reaction of the debate, as opposed to the actual run right there. This is my first time doing this. It is my fault. It is my fault completely for doing this shit and fucking it up like this. So, with my apologies, we are now going to review this crap-ass debate. Yes. I made a whole play. I have more James' music for us to play out. Mr. James Kuka, who was so nice in providing our theme song for us, but there's a little bit of more of his tunes in the while I was playing to be waiting time. But I messed this up. This is my first time doing it. It's all my fault.
Hey, we're learning. We're growing.
Tim's helping me out with this. Tim suggested the whole program to get me started on this. I have just not been doing it quite as much as I could. Well, I got as much time as I got. It's a working class struggle out there, folks. We were working more than one job doing all this shit. But we got this debate starting up now. We got these two punks doing it, and while we're waiting for it, I think our views will become apparent that
we're done with all of it. Pretty much.
Yeah, we're not really expecting the most out of these two characters here. I obviously like one more than the other, but I'm not really too impressed with anyone. Like super impressed by anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, I spent some time perusing Mandela Barnes' campaign website and Ron Johnson's campaign site.
Yeah.
Barnes strikes me as a neoliberal kind of dude who really wants to seem progressive.
Yes, who was really trying to go for that, just be progressive enough to get some of the kids out there, but not actually go full, I actually want to take money from places that people are afraid to take it away from.
He's very careful to avoid anything that might be redistribution to make the society more equitable.
Yes. God forbid. God forbid. That's the biggest problem right now. Yeah. It would be nice if we could all directly vote on it, but we're not living in that system yet. Not yet, Tim. Not yet, Tim. And I think we're gonna have to be going through a strongman or two on our way to that, probably. Not as in that's going to be included. I'm just saying people are going to force it in. It just happens.
This is following on from an argument we've been having for 2 hours now.
Yeah, and waiting for the debate and continuing it on. I wish it was Russ Feingold. Russ Feingold, I know he's failed twice, but I feel like the second time...
He's actually failed a total of 3 times.
Shit, bro.
Oh, no, you're right, twice.
I didn't even know about the third time.
No, you're right.
I didn't even know about that shit.
The length of time they have for responses, either 1 minute or 30 seconds. They and I can see countdown clocks. When they hit their time limit, I will advise them. If they continue, I'll note it, and their microphone will cease to work. If candidates fail to answer a specific question or change the subject, I'll exercise the moderator's option to call that out and give them just 30 seconds to give a specific answer. Please note, this debate will provide an additional service for voters. Many complex issues require deeper context and verification, especially when charges and countercharges are exchanged or when statistics and shorthand terms are used. So, thanks to our debate's data team, we will be providing you links to additional research materials about our key topics. To read more about a subject, follow the link you'll see on screen or follow the WBA on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Our hashtag is WBAdebate. Now, the order of response for the first and last question was determined by coin toss. And with that, let's begin with the first question from a member of our question team, Kim Murphy from WITI in Milwaukee. Now, you're seeing her picture. Despite her hard work, she can't be here because of COVID protocols. So she's asked her teammates to present her questions for her. So with that, let's go to Dale Ryman of WSAW in Waukesha for Kim.
Thank you, Joe. Good afternoon. Good evening, gentlemen. We want to start with the topic of marijuana legislation. This news
that's on the ballot for Wisconsin.
That President Biden is pardoning
He's
thousands
in
of
Milwaukee.
Americans convicted of possession.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way our state legislature would ever let that come up for state legislature.
Fuck you, Tavern League.
And addressing charging
I mean, seriously, fuck you. If you guys sold weed at your bar, what's the problem with that?
Federal
Yeah, I would definitely buy joints from like George's if they would just let me.
You guys would make money. Like,
Association and the Wisconsin Public TV station for hosting this. I also want to thank the panelists for participating. I hope the questions will be fair and balanced and really focused on the issues that really impact Wisconsinites. So we can have a good discussion on 40-year high inflation, record gas prices.
So he's just not.
crime.
He's just not talking about.
Not gonna acknowledge it. Like something that would make you money. Something that could make the state money, but obviously it's going to benefit like capitalists who invested here first.
The only thing on a federal basis doesn't make any sense for where marijuana is legal, that we're not able to use a banking system, so these marijuana companies have mounds of cash, which just leads to a potential for crime. So I can see federal legislation to open up the banking system to those states where you have legalized marijuana, but I would suggest any state should really take a look seriously at the harm being done by the legalization of marijuana. And
Oh, fuck you.
consider that very carefully.
Oh, what's the harm?
What's the harm?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for hosting the debate. Thank you for the question. Now, I've long supported the full legalization of marijuana as a member of the legislature, and now as lieutenant governor, and it's what I hope that we could accomplish as a nation if I'm elected to the United States Senate. Far too many people fall victim to a system that incarcerates folks for marijuana possession. Now, this is something that's legal in our neighboring states, in Illinois, in Michigan, even medical marijuana in Minnesota. Those states are receiving huge benefits because of the revenue that's generated from the legalization of marijuana.
Good point.
That's money that goes to their schools, money that goes to their roads. Most importantly, it's money that Wisconsin misses out on. If we have
Yes.
federal legalization of marijuana, we could do so much more in this state. Now, it's unfortunate that we have people who are decades behind this issue, who are supported by the pharmaceutical industry, where we have an issue with overprescription of drugs. Now, marijuana is harmless, and marijuana is something that states all over the country have embraced, and they are seeing
Lieutenant Governor,
phenomenal
your
benefits
time
as
is
a
up.
result of it.
Thank you. Let's go now to Mark.
Nice little stump response for that. Good job on that stump response.
And I'm glad he's saying marijuana is harmless
Yes.
because for decades that's something no one was willing to say.
Yeah.
Waukesha Christmas parade after getting out of jail on
Oof. Yeah, the Darrell Brooks thing is pretty bad.
Which pretrial defendants should be kept behind bars. A bill introduced in Congress last year discourages states from making the payment of money a condition for pretrial defendants to be released from jail. It details how defendants with access to money can buy their way out of jail while poorer defendants remain locked up. Would you agree that conditions for keeping a defendant locked up should be based on whether the defendant is a threat to public safety and or likely to fail to appear back in court, and not the ability to pay bail? Lieutenant Governor, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate this question because it has been sensationalized and it's also been mischaracterized. Now, I supported bail reform. Now, under my plan, dangerous people don't get to buy their way out of prison. Now, Senator Johnson may not have encountered a problem he couldn't buy his way out of, but that's not reality for a majority of people in this state. And what has come to light is how people have unfortunately used the Waukesha tragedy, even going so far as to use it in commercials, re-traumatizing families. Now, under my plan, the perpetrator wouldn't have been able to get out if he paid $1,000 or $100,000. This is about keeping people safe by making sure that those who are likely to offend and cause harm do not get to buy their way out of jail.
Yes.
That's the system that we
That's why they.
That's a good response.
That's why they asked for $7 million.
has been supported by Republicans all across the country as well.
Senator, you have 1 minute.
Because even if they are rich, you just make it impossible for them to get out.
Yeah.
One of the issues is we're not keeping criminals in jail. And Lieutenant Governor is.
Yeah, I think we are.
Wrote
I think
the
we
bill
are.
To eliminate cash bail. That is one of the methods that we can use to make sure the dangerous criminals stay in jail. Lieutenant
Keeps
Governor
poor ones in.
As they ended their office, so was
Keeps poor ones from visiting lawyers
by 50%.
and affording them.
They've already reduced it by about 15%, and they paroled about 884 criminals. You'd think they start with nonviolent. No. Only 11% were nonviolent, about 100 criminals. The other were violent criminals, including 44 child rapists, 270 criminals who primarily.
He's got the nasty words
Yeah.
ready.
Those two nasty words.
So if you want to reduce crime, first of all, you have to fully fund the police, and of course, my opponent is opposed to fully funding
The police are fully funded right now.
They're fully funded. They're funded more than they've ever been.
I'm sorry, time is up, and we're going to give you time at the end. If there is something that you feel has been misrepresented, you'll have time at the end in a final question.
Okay, just start hitting that.
Yep.
Start hitting on it, Ron Johnson, super hard.
Let's see what he got.
There's agreement on both sides of the aisle that something about our country's immigration system needs to change, but how is the sticking point, especially as it affects employment rate in Wisconsin? By the year 2030, it's estimated that the working population in our state will shrink by 130,000 people if we don't have an increase in migration. Would you look at making a path to citizenship more accessible as a solution?
People keep leaving Wisconsin because it sucks.
We'll have 1 minute. Senator Johnson, we'll start with you.
Well, in order to have immigration reform, we have to first secure the border. And we by and large have it secured.
We're not out by the border, bud.
Unaccompanied children and families exploiting our asylum laws. We'd actually even cut in half adult immigration until President Biden took office, and then the border was opened up. We are dealing with about 7,000 people per day being encountered, processed, and dispersed throughout America. It's about 3 million people. It's also opened up our border to the flow of deadly drugs.
No, that's actually like us doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also.
Traffickers, about an $18 billion a year business. How do you think, for example, young women pay off their human trafficking fee? The human trafficking, the sex trafficking, that is an untold story, and unfortunately the news media is covering up for the Biden administration.
Senator, I do have to exercise the moderator's option. The question was about immigration reform.
So you have to first secure the border.
And understand.
Once you've done that,
We're not by the border, moron.
right now
He's running for U.S. Senate.
incredible fear. All somebody has to do is just step in and say they're afraid to go home.
I mean, honestly, this conversation is entirely irrelevant to Wisconsin.
It is. It completely is.
About 3 million people into this country since the Biden
Because honestly, the fuller problem is like, oh, we keep destabilizing countries until they're so desperate that people start coming here.
And I fully support comprehensive immigration reform that creates a path to citizenship for our dreamers, for their families. What we're doing right now does not work. And I'll tell you, people all across the state of Wisconsin agree. It is unfortunate that we have a member of the United States Senate does not side with the majority of people of Wisconsin. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking to family farmers. They know that fixing our broken immigration system and creating that pathway to citizenship isn't just a humane thing to do, it's also good for our economy, as you mentioned. This is something we have to do. We can create a system that keeps our border safe, that treats people with dignity and respect, does not subject our children to the horrors of family separation. Now, the senators have 12 years to do something about this. Even had a chance with a
I mean, nothing makes like immigrants go underground and trust criminal elements like ICE.
Yeah.
modernization, but the senators decided to play politics instead of doing the right thing.
Thank you very much. Let's go to AJ Bayatpour from WKOW in Madison.
Gentlemen, this is a two-part question on the issue of Social Security. The Social Security Trust Fund is currently on pace to be underfunded by 2034. Senator Johnson, to address this concern, you have said you support making the program a discretionary one, meaning Congress could make changes to it in each budget cycle. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have said you oppose that. First,
Hell yeah.
should not Social Security be made discretionary? And beyond that, what specifically should Congress do to ensure the program remains fully funded? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you'll go first.
The problem is Social Security should be abolished in favor of UBI.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Tim. I agree with that. But in the meantime, before we get there, please don't cut it.
We're all fucked anyway.
I know.
You and I are never seeing $1 of Social Security.
Not with that attitude, no.
We're not. We're just not.
I mean, Tim.
We're just not.
I mean, Tim.
There's too many baby boomers, and there's not enough working millennials.
Well, Tim.
People who work their entire lives.
It's just math.
We're not getting Tim. It's not. Tim. We've talked about this before. The debt doesn't fucking matter. We have quantitative easing now. Like we literally can pull it out of our ass.
But if we're just endlessly increasing Social Security, then maybe old people aren't the only ones who need help, and let's just have UBI.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Tim. Absolutely. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, the UBI is gonna be more expensive anyway. Like it's like, yeah, let's just do it all. Like,
Yeah.
Like this.
$215 million in tax deductions to his biggest donors in a single year, and he wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. He's in it for his wealthy donors.
Your
not
time
working
is
people.
up. Your time is up. But just to be specific, let me exercise the moderator's option. Should it be reviewed each year?
It should not be discretionary spending.
Okay.
It should not be discretionary spending.
Attaboy.
Senator?
So let me make myself very clear. I want to save Social Security. I want to save Medicare. The greatest threat to Social Security Medicare is the completely out of control deficit spending and our growing debt. We've added $7.5 trillion of new deficits over just the last 3 years.
But it's not a household budget, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Do you realize that a dollar you held at the start of the Biden administration is only worth 88.3 cents? If you were a senior, fortunate enough to have a little nest egg, let's say $100,000 for ease of calculation. That $100,000 that you had at the start of the Biden administration is only worth $300 because of the out of control deficit spending. What I've been saying is we should be looking at all spending so we can prioritize. And Social Security, Medicare would be at the top of the priority list. I've never ever said I would cut it or put it in the chopping block. That is a false attack.
Ponzi scheme,
sir?
all the candy.
Lieutenant Governor, this is his time, and I'm going to add a little time to that. To once again, you have proposed reviewing Social Security rather than having it be what's called an entitlement, which means it goes on.
You're putting words in my mouth.
All right, sir.
I was talking about part of the reason we're $30.31 trillion in debt now is because we separate mandatory.
Get his ass.
We don't even look at 70% of the budget. And so we spend like drunken sailors on the other 30%. We need to combine everything, look at all of it, so we start prioritizing spending. We can't afford, for example, to spend $369 billion on the Green New Deal fantasy, but of course, the Lieutenant Governor...
But back to entitlement versus review.
Yeah.
Your position.
Pardon?
Back to whether or
It's
not
an entitlement. We have to honor those promises, but the greatest threat to those promises, the out of
Gotta
control
change the
deficit
subject to
spending.
Green New
Thank
Deal or
you.
some
Let's
shit.
go to the next question, Monty Ricosa. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Let's go to the next question with Brad Williams from WISM Radio in La Crosse.
And our question is about minimum wage. Many Americans continue to struggle to make a living wage. When it comes to the federal minimum wage, you both have said you support an increase in the minimum wage. Given the rise in inflation we've seen this past year, specifically, what dollar figure would you support setting the minimum wage at, and why? And Senator...
How about instead of a dollar amount, how about you index it to inflation and productivity?
Yes. That's pretty good. That's a good answer, Tim. You should be on this motherfucker.
When you increase the minimum wage, you can also eliminate jobs. So I think a strong economy is the best approach to this thing. I really don't like the federal government getting involved in doing price fixing on anything, and that includes wages.
Oh, you mean like for like food or something? Like when it gets desperate? Like you don't believe in that?
You had plenty of jobs, and you had rising wages. I think something like $2,000 to $4,000 per year is what the average family increased their wage by. So that's the best thing, is have the marketplace take care of it rather than government set a minimum wage, but then starts eliminating jobs. And of course, it doesn't do you much good if you have a higher minimum wage and you don't have a job, then you have a zero wage.
Lieutenant Governor Barnes.
Thank you so much. Now, the senator...
It's like he believes you're going to get rid of all jobs.
Inflation. Let's just say it was right. Now, the reality is people have been making $7.25 since 2009.
Since Bush.
The federal minimum wage.
Bush too.
Wisconsin still has a $7.25 minimum wage. I've long been a proponent of a $15 minimum wage. Since 2014, when
I mean, it's a little inadequate right now, but
started calling for it.
Still, that's the number.
Absolutely be at a $15 minimum wage. People are working harder than they've ever worked before, but they're not making the money they used to. Now, if Senator Johnson's serious about addressing inflation, we have to make sure that people can actually keep up with their bills. There's no reason that people who work full-time should struggle to pay the bills, but that is the reality right now, and it will continue to be the reality if we have people in office who are only going to prioritize the richest people in this country and leave hard-working people behind.
All right, let's go to the next question too, Monty Ricosa of Telemundo.
I'm going to ask a series of questions on abortion. Let's start with the most general one. Here in Wisconsin, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we are governed by an 1849 law that bans all abortions except in the life of a mother. Polls say over 60% of Wisconsin residents oppose the overturning of Roe. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have
I hope
said
those polls are
you
accurate.
disagree
I
with
really hope they
overturning
are.
Roe v. Wade. Senator Johnson, one of your ideas.
Hope those polls are people who are going out to vote.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
This week, the Wisconsin legislature gavelled in and gavelled out, rejecting the opportunity to allow such votes. So let's talk specifically about what you would do at the national level regarding abortion. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm an only child, but I'm not my mother's only pregnancy. Before I was born, my mother had a complicated pregnancy, and she had an abortion. She shared her story because she wanted others to know that they aren't alone and that it was her decision to make, not some politicians. And every woman should be able to make that decision. And doctors shouldn't have to live under the threat of being criminalized for helping women through their most difficult decisions. Now,
medical
the senator
problems.
called the
That's what it
overturn of
is.
Roe versus Wade a victory. He celebrated the Dobbs decision. And he said that if women don't like the laws of their state, like the 1849 criminal abortion ban we have here, he said they can move. I can't think of a more callous, out of touch, or extreme position to take. If I were in the U.S. Senate, I would absolutely vote to codify Roe versus Wade to protect the right to an abortion and the right to choose into law once and for all to protect women's rights.
Thank you. Senator Johnson?
Well, as Justice Alito said, this is a profound moral issue. And it shouldn't be decided by 9 justices, not 535 members of Congress, and quite honestly, not even 132 members of the Wisconsin State Legislature. What we should do, and by the way, the most extreme position here would be no limits on abortion whatsoever. Allowing abortion,
Which is not what it is either.
Which no one is advocating for. That is a straw man argument of like the most textbook form.
Yeah.
With a one-time, single issue referendum that asks the decision.
I was reading about this on his website.
We need to come to a decision on, which is at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life in the womb? We all agree that society has responsibility to protect life, but at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life in the womb? I want we the people to decide that. I would have one.
No,
vote
it's
like
up to the
every other
individual.
Wisconsin citizen.
Yeah.
It's up to the individual. Because that's it's like I get to decide what's going in your ball sack.
Yeah.
No, dude, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck you.
Have concerns with a Senate composed of
Because that's the thing is it's like, well, you gonna fuck with a man too? It's like, but I'm not fucking with that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the only fair. That's the only fair fucking system.
The morning after pill and additional embryos created through IVF or in vitro fertilization. Senator Johnson, you have 1 minute.
Well, I've laid out all these answers, these questions on wisfacts.com, so you can refer to
But
that.
you're at the fucking debate.
I obviously support birth control. I support in vitro fertilization. My daughter had 2 children through gestational surrogacy, so I support all those things. I would.
So what if there's a
mandate
complication?
consider
What if there's a complication? Are you just gonna like make sure she has to go to another state to take care of it?
Yeah.
Pregnancy. But I lay it all out there on wisfacts.com. I've been very transparent about this. This has been a divisive issue for 50 years. Because
you fucks do it.
Decision for all of us.
'Cause
and
you
we can
fucks
solve
do
the
it.
problem. So the best thing, and that's why I support overturning Roe v. Wade, is to turn it back to the states where we the people can make.
So
that
you can fuck
decision.
with
Again,
them.
Yeah.
The question that has to be answered
So you-
is at what point does society?
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with your base in the
responsibility
South. You don't want to fuck with any of them.
It's just that simple.
Piece of
I've
shit
actually
coward.
laid out a sample
Yeah, he
referendum
can't piss
ballot.
off his own
You can also find
base
that at
here
wisfacts.com.
while telling the truth about his opinion about abortion.
No.
The senator knows very well that the referendum won't happen with the legislature we have now.
Yep.
This is him trying to run away from his dangerous, out of touch, and extreme position. And when
Attaboy.
you take a position like that, there's so much that you don't always see. Let's talk about Texas as an example. There's a woman who had to be hooked up to a breathing machine because she had complications with her pregnancy and could not get an abortion. A 10-year-old girl in Ohio was raped and had to cross state lines to get an abortion. That's Ron Johnson's America. And 70% of the people think Roe versus Wade should be the law of the land here. Now, when we talk about children and unplanned pregnancies, Senator Johnson once went so far as to say it's not his responsibility to take care of our children in this country. Won't even support the child tax credit. Now, people are dealing with some very tough
Get 'em.
circumstances,
Yep.
but the senator would rather make a political point than to do the right thing to protect families and to protect the health of women.
Thank you. Let's now move on to AJ Bayatpour.
We are here, of course, in the city of Milwaukee, which is on pace for a 3rd consecutive year to set a record number of homicides in a single year. The city of Milwaukee currently gives more money to its police
Yeah,
department
Carmen was
than
telling
any
me
other
about
city
her.
agency. What is the
All those guns were dirty
Congress
too.
in addressing
Yeah.
such
It's so
violent
fucked. Is that
surges
even
in
with like
American
legislation, it's like,
cities?
well, all
If
those guns were
such a
dirty.
rule- if such a
So
rule should
like,
exist,
it's also the problem of how do you get those dirty guns off out of
Congress
there?
should take, if
Like,
any, to
because
address violence.
like that's like the biggest problem.
You'll each have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know the pain of losing a loved
Because I
one
agree
to
with
gun
I agree with
violence.
getting the dirty ones out
I've
there. Like
experienced
shit,
that
like
more times than I care.
because that shit's only for
My first friend
offense.
in
Like
prison and several others after. Now, I know it doesn't have to be this way because it wasn't always this way.
I don't know what you
When
do.
my granddad moved to Milwaukee
It's tough,
after
dude.
World War II, he got a job as a union steel worker in a safe city. But when factories started to close their doors, we saw a decline in opportunity, but unfortunately, we also saw a rise in crime and in violence. Now, what we need to do is make sure that communities
It stems from
have the
economic
resources
problems.
they need to prevent crime from happening in the first place. That means fully funding our schools. It also means making sure that there are good paying jobs in communities. And we also invested $100 million in the law enforcement, public safety, and crime prevention initiatives through the American Rescue Plan, which Senator Johnson voted against because another instance where he decided to play politics instead of putting the safety of the people of Wisconsin first.
Senator Johnson.
Good point, boyo.
The first thing you do is you support law enforcement. And unfortunately, the Lieutenant Governor has not done that. He has a record of wanting to defund the police. Now, I know he doesn't necessarily say that word, but he has a long history of being supported by people that are leading the effort to defund. He uses the code words like Cory Bush said. Talk about reallocate.
That's what it is.
Police budgets. He says it pains him to see.
There's tanks following me around on the fucking street. Every cop had AR-15s fucking on the roofs, pointing them all at us. Dude, like, they have enough fucking money. They do. They had 2 tanks following around the crowds. 2 tanks. Why do you need tanks for a civilian population? Are we China? Are we China? Like, is that what we are?
We are 1,000 officers below where we were in Wisconsin.
We're not China.
And people are having a very difficult time. Sheriffs are having a very difficult time recruiting new officers. Where they may have had 100 recruits, they might have a dozen.
Maybe they don't want to fight their own people, huh? Maybe they don't want to fight their own civilians and their neighbors like they're foreign enemies. Get rid of the cops who think it's a national war zone in America. Get rid of them.
Gun legislation following the mass shootings this year and with assault-style weapons in both Uvalde and Buffalo, the bipartisan gun safety law was passed this summer. But polls show Americans want Congress to do more. To that end, what restrictions, if any, would you put on the sale of military-style assault weapons? And when it comes to mandatory background checks to buy a firearm, do you agree with overwhelming bipartisan public support of that plan? We'll start with Senator Johnson. You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, you have to understand, we have something like 10,000 gun control laws on the books throughout America.
No, we don't. We
Gun
don't,
control
but...
is a solution, it would have already been solved. It's not the solution. If we want to cut down on crime, the overall macro issue is we need to renew faith, strengthen families, have more support.
Yeah, nah, dude. Okay, it sounds like if you want to stop, teen pregnancies, do abstinence. Like, it's not.
There was something like 112,000 failed background checks in the year 2017.
Like, isn't it like, like on Thanksgiving and on Christmas, like there's the most domestic abuse cases? Like, I don't think that whole family.
I mean, why don't we take a look at what's happening within our society that is causing all of this violence?
Yeah, like all the mental illness that's untreated. Like, that kid that Rittenhouse had claimed to have to fucking kill. He was running around and no place to sleep.
That's why I've spent my entire career working to make communities safer. Now, overwhelming majority of people in the state, as you mentioned, support background checks. People don't think that
I do too.
Should be able to get a handgun, and neither do I. And unfortunately, Senator Johnson doesn't agree. The ATF doesn't even have searchable data.
You see the psychopaths I saw trying to go in and buy guns for their friends.
The senator on the last question did mention, police officers. Now, with that being said, I'm sure he didn't have the same interaction with the 140 officers that were injured during the January 6th insurrection. One officer was stabbed with a metal stake, another crushed between a revolving door, another hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. So when we talk about respect for law enforcement, let's talk about the 140 officers that he left behind because of an insurrection that he supported. Now, with that being said, there's so much
not a bad point.
To keep guns out of the hand of violent criminals.
Lieutenant Governor, just once again, for specifics, the questions were about background checks.
Oh, I absolutely support background checks.
Yeah, I probably should have stuck to that. But
legislator supported now as Lieutenant Governor, and we need senators who support background checks. We need senators who aren't bought and paid for by the gun lobby. Senator Johnson received $1.2 million
send him on those
from
points.
the gun lobby. That's why he can't be trusted. That's why he's going to make up every excuse about why we can't do anything. He was elected to do a job. This is what he's supposed to do. They'll keep us
I would
safe.
be up if the SRA had more money and had the kind of influence that the NRA did.
All right, let's move on now. We're going to take another question. This one is from Kim Murphy, who can't be with us tonight because of COVID protocols, but it's going to be asked on her behalf by Dale Ryman.
Thank you, Joe. I want to talk about the Electoral College reform. After the January 6th assault on the Capitol, the effort to present a false slate of electors from 7 states, including Wisconsin, a bipartisan group of 32 senators has proposed the Electoral Count Reform Act. The key provisions include identifying a single conclusive slate of electors, affirming the role of the vice president, raising the objection threshold, and protecting each state's popular vote. Lieutenant Governor, we will go to you first for 1 minute. Do you support this bill?
Well, we all saw what happened on January 6th. We also saw every conspiracy theory peddled. We saw the senator attempt to send fake electors to the vice president. Senator's involvement lasted a matter of seconds. That matter of seconds ended up with a whole day assault on the Capitol. They threatened to hang the vice president. Now, we have to do as much as we can to protect our democracy. The very first plan my campaign put out was a democracy and accountability agenda. Now, the senator doesn't seem like a democracy because it has not been working out for him. But the reality is, if we modernize our electoral count system, we can prevent something like this from happening again, and we can restore trust into our electoral process. People don't trust the process because we have folks elected to high office who will spend their time trying to overturn an election, trying to cast doubt into a free and fair election, which election observers said was the most secure in our lifetime.
Senator Johnson?
I would support that piece of legislation. I do want to remind everybody that when I got back to my office on January 6th, because I was not impacted by what was happening at the Capitol, I didn't know what was happening until I turned on the TV. I immediately and forcefully and have repeatedly condemned it and condemned it strongly. But I've also condemned the 570 riots that occurred during the summer. So many people ignore those. The Lieutenant Governor has made excuses for those rioters, saying, well, what do you expect? They're frustrated. If you want to talk about rioting, we should take a look at
this is what fucking a lot of them always like have to bring up is like they have to bring up this like the one against the Capitol doesn't matter. It's the ones where the private businesses got like the ones where Walgreens got looted. That's more important.
Way more cops died at the Capitol than ever died. Like no one died. No cops died in Kenosha.
Dude, no one. The one person that died was some like old security guard, and that was it. Now, I think my own things on January 6th. But we're not gonna get into all that right now. That's for a different stream. But like,
okay.
But there were more people getting injured. There were more cops at risk at that one.
Mike Pence when he was visiting Wausau. When referring to his actions on January 6th, when he resisted pressure from former President Trump to overturn the election and refused to accept the slates of fake state electors, including some that were offered to him by Senator Johnson's office. He said he acted out of respect for the U.S. Constitution. We'd like for you both to go on the record. Did the former vice president do the right thing? Senator Johnson, you can go first.
I like that question because it forces him to get rid of his Trumpers.
I had no idea when I got a call from the lawyer from the President of the United States.
Right, you're gonna play chicken.
You're gonna play chicken. Did I have a staff member that could help out with that? I had no idea what it was. And the fact of the matter was, nothing was delivered. The whole episode took less than an hour, but I wasn't even involved. So again, I had no knowledge of an alternate slate of electors. I voted to confirm, not to disallow any of President Biden's electors. So from my standpoint, this is a non-issue. But I know it's being blown up because everyone wants to focus on January 6th when we also...
Because when you try to take over the government.
You literally try to take over the government.
2,000 law enforcement officers injured in those riots. A couple dozen people lost their lives, including 2 in Kenosha, because the Lieutenant Governor and the Governor Evers didn't provide the type of manpower to quell those riots.
You let the fucker go who killed him.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like
you let the
You
fucking like cunt. Like it's what?
Did Mike Pence do the right thing on January 6th?
Right.
Yes. President Biden is now
douche waffle. Yeah, exactly. Throw your real base off. Throw your real base off.
Pushback. The Republican sheriff of Kenosha said that the governor answered every call and gave all the resources that they requested.
Pretty fucking much.
And he may not have noticed that an insurrection was happening because he called those people patriots. He called them tourists. These are the folks that he supported. This is an act that he supported. And he can make whatever comparisons he wants to, but the reality is this was an attempted overthrow of the government by trying to overturn a free and fair election.
There
so
you
the
are.
answer is yes. The vice president did do the right thing.
All right, let's go to the next question, and that goes to Brad Williams.
We'll turn to the issue of safe water. From Racine to Wausau to Rhinelander, people are concerned about the safety of their drinking water because
So I gotta drink this shit.
Excessive levels of man-made and industrial chemicals called PFAS, which have been linked to illnesses and conditions.
Maybe I just have too much like regular drinking water. Maybe that's why I'm so dumb.
I know, Tim. I started buying this once me and Carmen got a letter in the mail like, the city of Milwaukee's going to give you a free filter if you can provide food for a woman or a child are in the house, like, because your main pipeline may have lead in it. So I'm like, okay, so it has lead, like right. So I've been drinking lead water.
Crazy.
Like I've been drinking lead water.
Well, thank you so much.
Like not announcing it, but it's like, be careful. And if you have a woman or a child in there, we don't. The men though, it's fine. It's fine. Like all you're gonna do is being sterile. They're gonna be sterile. It's fine. It's fine. You don't want to have kids anyway.
The most wealthy nation on the entire planet, but it's not the reality. And this is a freshwater state. We got Lake Michigan to the east, Superior to the north, the Mississippi River to the west. And I have spent my time in the office of Lieutenant Governor working on clean water issues. In fact, 2019, the governor declared it the year of clean drinking water. Now, we've issued a number of grants, but we need help and support from the federal government. We should also talk about lead lateral lines in cities across Wisconsin as well, which the bipartisan infrastructure law went to go fund. Now, this is another instance that that the senator voted against the interests of people. He voted against our health and safety, whether it's PFAS contamination or lead contamination.
Lieutenant Governor, once again, more specifically, what, if anything, do you think needs to be done at the federal level?
My apologies. We do have a responsibility. The federal government absolutely has a responsibility to fund the initiatives that would make sure that every community has access to clean and safe drinking water. And also, we have a responsibility to make sure that polluters are held accountable.
Senator Johnson.
Well, I suggest that the EPA, rather than focus on CO2, focus on these pollutants that really are harmful.
Can they do both? Can they please do both?
They can do both.
$369 billion, which is
And if they can't, can we give them more money until they can? Take some from the police, maybe.
Yeah, that probably the police. I feel like the EPA is like killing less people. Killing less innocent people.
Yeah.
Killing less innocent people.
$369 billion, a portion of that, we can allocate that toward...
I have a podcast on deck about eco-terrorists that I'm looking forward to.
Oh.
All right, let's go to the next question, and that will go to Monse Ricosa.
Avalanche.
I'd like to talk
Exactly.
about the Respect for Marriage Act. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, Justice Clarence Thomas referred to other decisions, which would include gay marriage and interracial marriage, as potentially overturned, or had the potential to be overturned. In response to that, Senator Baldwin and Collins have proposed bipartisan legislation called the Respect for Marriage Act, which makes it the law of the land and
Susan Collins
protects it
proposed that
from
with
being
her?
overturned. How would you vote, Senator Johnson?
Yeah, but who knows where she's actually going to come down.
I know.
I
It's
think
surprising.
that's one of her things that she puts forward, that she can then be shitty about everything else.
For gay marriage, I thought, okay, there's an issue that's been settled. Let's move on. We have a lot of other problems we have to deal with. That Supreme Court decision will never be overturned. This is another scare tactic.
That's what they said about Roe v. Wade.
That's
Every single justice said that about Roe v. Wade. They were lying.
Yeah.
And Clarence Thomas specifically called for people to bring cases to overturn Obergefell.
Yes.
They want to overturn Obergefell.
It threatens religious liberty. So
They want to overturn Griswold too.
Bill, I would want to see very strong.
And Lawrence. They want to overturn all of them.
No, they do. Like it's what's stopping them? They're controlling the courts.
Sue, for example, bakers. Won the Supreme Court, but they're right back after harassing that guy again. So I would need very strong religious liberty protections.
Thank you, Senator.
Lieutenant Governor Barnes?
Thank you so much. We're talking about civil right. We're talking about the right for a person to marry who they love. Normally, this would be a no-brainer. This is something I've supported as a member of the legislature, and it's something I would be proud to support as a member of the United States Senate. Now, he said that the Supreme Court decision won't be overturned. A lot of people thought that Roe wouldn't be overturned. Yeah. But look at us now. We're in a position where we are losing rights. People are having fewer rights than they had 50 years ago. That's exactly what's on the line with this election. We need people who are going to fight for our fundamental freedoms. To be able to marry who you love, again, that should be a no-brainer. It's a shame that we're in this place right now having this same old tired argument, but here we are. We need people in a fight to make sure you can love who you love and also make your own healthcare decisions without interference from politicians.
Okay, our next question once again is coming from Kim Murphy, but it's going to be addressed by Mark.
Decent answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kim's question is on climate change. The death toll from Hurricane Ian is at least 120 people now. The storm made landfall as a devastating Category 4. Scientists
I know his answer is going to be it's going to be it's not a problem.
Fueled by warm waters, and those warmer waters are a direct effect on climate change. What would be 3 specific solutions you believe in for addressing climate change? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Well, the climate crisis is already here. It's impacting places all over the country, all over the globe, Wisconsin specifically. I've had a chance to visit our family farmers who have had to deal with the impacts of devastation from these 100, 500-year storms that are happening more regularly. Flooding events, historic flooding events that are wiping out rural infrastructure, and also the impact on cities with urban heat islands. Now, the senator just a couple questions ago, said that CO2 is not harmful. He's gone so far as to call climate change BS. These are people's lives we're talking about. This is our future that we're talking about. What we need to do is reduce carbon emissions. What we also need to do is move towards a clean energy economy and make sure Wisconsin is in the driver's seat. 80% of the world's solar panels built in China. We could be building those right here in Wisconsin, charting the path to a clean energy future. And we also can make sure that our family farmers have the support they need with regenerative agriculture so that the industry can continue to thrive.
It's the senator's turn.
So the climate has always changed, always will change, so I don't deny climate change. The question is, can you really do anything about it? When China, when India, they're going to be burning fossil fuels, America's going to have to burn fossil fuels. 80% of our energy comes from fossil fuels right now. That's not going to change anytime soon because wind and solar are not.
Because you don't want to change it. You specifically don't want to change
The reason
it.
you're paying now more than $4 a gallon at the pump is because of the Democrats' war on fossil fuels.
No, not at all.
In terms of converting over to electric vehicles.
No, it's because of price gouging by energy price.
Yes.
Companies. That's it.
And especially at times when gas is more scarce. That's when they especially can price gouge.
They're exploding. So there are a lot of problems here. So we have to focus on how we use fossil fuels responsibly. We simply can't be afford spending hundreds of billions of dollars trying to solve a problem that's not solvable.
Thank you.
You mean like the economy when it crashes like every 4 to 8 years, like
1 minute answers.
the one we constantly have to keep restarting all the time, and we spend more time every time we do
So
it.
with that, let us go to AJ Bayator.
The White House's student loan debt forgiveness plan is widely supported by young Americans. However, many other voters believe it is unfair. Do you think it is fair or not to forgive up to $20,000 in student loan debt? You each have 1 minute. Senator Johnson, you'll go first.
I think it's grossly unfair. And I think people who never went to college or people that scrimped and saved and sacrificed and paid off their student loan are not particularly happy that a group of people who voluntarily entered into a loan agreement now get that. It's really not forgiving.
I mean, I'm sorry.
You built an entire system where the only way to get educated is to go into thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of debt. Education should not be reserved for the rich.
Yeah.
And that's not to be the case that you need free college.
And Tim, you gave up a lot of money.
I did.
You did to pay off your student
But
loan
I'm
debt.
happy for my friends who did not to get loan forgiveness.
And
Because
Tim,
that helps everyone.
because you're not a piece of shit.
Well, thank you.
You're not a piece
I
of
try
shit.
my best.
I know. Tim, true communism right here. Look at the fucking beard. Look at the hat. You can't deny it. You got to deny it. And here, you know me. I got the colors. Here. Got the Vietnam right here. You know, without the pointed edges, with the round edges, because it's true. True as fuck.
Oh, that was a Steven Universe shirt.
It is, but he did take the communist. He did take the Vietnamese star, and just because that's all it is. It's just with rounded edges.
The trades, he became an electrician.
It is. Like it is. Like
it's important for us to think about the other paths people choose in life.
I've literally had it mistaken.
Like,
oh, that's what Vietnam, bro. And I'm like, Steven Universe, but still, yeah, bro. I'm
like, older questions about the minimum wage. Costs continue to rise, especially with college.
Sorry, Mandela.
And we're talking about people who make minimum wage in many cases to support themselves during their time in college. So, of course, we should forgive some student loan debt. But we also need to make it easier for people in vocational education, also people in technical education, so that they can have the opportunity to.
How about liberal arts education? That's the domain of the rich, though.
Yeah,
In the
that's-
neoliberal world, only rich people deserve liberal arts education.
Yeah, only rich people who would have kids who want to afford their dreams.
Yeah.
Because good
I mean,
ideas never come from the
Mandela
poor.
Barnes is only a few years older than me. I'm sure he actually has a bunch of student debt.
Yeah.
That cannot fully participate in the economy. My generation is the first to be that's slated to be worse off than the generation before us. That is a travesty. It is a shame that many people in my generation have
failure.
fewer opportunities than my granddad had after he came back from World War II. So absolutely, it's fair that people get some student loan relief.
All right, we go to Mark Leland.
One of the White House's stated reasons for adopting student loan forgiveness is it would narrow the racial wealth gap. Just yesterday, a federal judge in Green Bay dismissed a lawsuit brought by the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. The lawsuit argued the White House plan had an improper racial motive. The group plans to appeal. At the federal level, whether it's with student loans or anything else, what, if anything, should Congress do to address the racial wealth gap? Lieutenant Governor Barr.
Reparations.
Reparations.
Well, absolutely. And
Reparations.
As I mentioned earlier, my granddad moved here after World War II. He got a job as a union steel worker, and that's the story of a whole lot of black men in the city of Milwaukee. And again, when those opportunities dried up, there was nothing really.
Well, honestly, I think you should take the racial out of that, and instead of retribution, just a redistribution. Because there's really only 1% of this country who has any money to redistribute at all, and we should just do that.
That has been supported and championed by Senator Johnson. He says offshoring makes sense, ignoring the toll that it has taken on communities like right here in the city of Milwaukee. We need to do more to make sure that there are good paying jobs in communities. We need to do more to make sure that our low income schools are fully funded. We need to do more to make sure that
there's employment, that they're not making $7.25 an hour and have to work 3 jobs and have other kids, like I said, at a daycare center or with family that can't barely watch them.
All right, I am told by the official timekeepers that we can now move to 30-second questions.
Senator Johnson has Senator Johnson.
My apologies.
I think you're aware of my Joseph project. That is where I've teamed up with a church in the inner city of Milwaukee, and in 4 days of training, we instill the requirement, the need for a good attitude and committing to success. And
that's just bad attitudes. It's just be better.
Yeah.
Be better.
Stop abusing drugs.
Right. You know, like go to church.
Thousands of people have been positively impacted by that. That's how you do it. You don't do it by spending trillions of dollars of money that we don't have, sparking.
It's money that you have, sir. You
Right.
and like your 1,000 other friends.
Had at the start of the administration, turn that into 88.3 cents. That helps.
Like, what are you doing with all that money? Like,
Yeah.
You have more time on your minute if you would like to
the
go on.
other thing we shouldn't be doing is letting loose 87,000 IRS agents on middle-class families, because that's what's going to happen.
no, on the lower class ones. That's where that's who you're heading at.
Right, we will now move to our 30-second questions, and my apologies for stepping on
Fucking
your
middle
response
class.
there.
Trying to call
All
it
right,
middle
we
fucking
now
class.
go to, let's see.
Middle class, the fucking elite.
No, I'm sorry, it's Brad Williams.
So no, they have to go after the rich. Like that's the only thing that institution would be good for.
Surveys have shown public confidence in the U.S. Supreme Court is at its lowest level in years. Critics of the court have suggested changes, such as replacing lifetime appointments with term limits or expanding the court beyond 9 justices. They have also proposed more strict ethical oversight of the High Court because of conflicts of interest. Would you support any or all of these ideas for court reform, and why? We start with Senator Johnson. You have 30 seconds.
Complicated
The reason
question.
people are complaining is because they're leftists themselves. They're biased media. They don't like it when
No,
you
a
have
majority of the
Supreme
people
Court
disagree with
that has
recent
conservative
decisions that the
justices
court has made.
actually
It's
just
all
apply
leftist
the
media.
law.
That's why an independent party is asking me this.
So I'm utterly opposed to judicial activists, and that's of course what the liberal press likes, is an activist court. And so when you finally have gotten conservative justices, and by the way,
You mean like activist court, like overturning laws that have been around for 50 years?
They haven't made a single decision you don't like.
Yeah.
Alter it.
Lieutenant Governor?
Mentioned the
Especially
first
Citizens
plan of this
United.
campaign was a democracy and accountability agenda. One of the most important provisions in that plan was to impose ethics standards on the Supreme Court. Our justices should abide by the same exact sets of standards that every other court in the country has to abide by.
Probably.
And also support term limits for U.S. Supreme Court justices. These shouldn't be lifetime appointments.
All right. Let's now go to A.J. Byatt-Ford.
There was a new development this week potentially involving gas prices. Despite President Biden's attempt to persuade OPEC to do otherwise, the group of oil exporting countries decided this week it will cut oil production, a move that will most likely cause gas prices to rise. How should Congress respond? Again, you each have 30 seconds for this. Lieutenant Governor, you'll go first.
Well, the problem is our reliance on fossil fuels in the first place. We need to be
True,
but
independent.
true.
We need to do more.
They're going to make you answer the question, though.
In this country, specifically right here in Wisconsin. Now, the senator's going to say that the path forward is fossil fuels. He's going to make up every excuse for the fossil fuel industry. We need to hold them accountable for using inflation as a smokescreen to jack up prices on the American people. And look, the senators receive hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign support from the fossil fuel industry.
Which keeps it alive.
That's why he's going to put their interests before your pocketbook.
Senator.
If you want to have lower gas prices, you need to be energy independent. We were energy independent under the last administration. If you're concerned about climate change,
No,
we were not.
Fucking
We absolutely
liar.
were not.
You fucking piece
liar.
of shit. Fuck off.
There's a solution here. It's just environmentalists like Lieutenant Governor Barnes.
Energy independent.
All right, we have one.
Like how, like that's like how, like, oh my god.
It's being said broadband is not a luxury. It's a necessity for.
It's like how you're independent without your sugar daddy,
The
Ron.
pandemic really
Yeah.
showed us how important broadband is, in particular with online learning and telehealth. Wisconsin ranks 33rd in the country in Broadband Now's annual rankings of internet coverage.
Energy independent under the last administration. Like,
How will
did I
you
miss that?
advocate for Wisconsinites
That's the
on
thing. They
Capitol
always
to
like go with that
continue
shit. They're always like,
to
yeah,
close
America was making more money under Trump. It's like,
We weren't, though.
you like literally just make up fucking anything.
So I have a
Like,
strong record here. I've supported the Connect America Fund, and that allocated hundreds of millions of dollars here. Also, to get proper mapping of broadband, and that resulted in about $10 billion over 10 years of federal funding to expand broadband here in Wisconsin. So I'm completely aware of the crucial need for broadband, and I've supported it, and I've gotten federal funding for Wisconsin as a result.
And specifically toward the future, we'll continue to do
Well,
that.
yeah, precisely.
Thank you. Lieutenant Governor.
Well, I'm proud to say that our administration has invested historic sums of money into broadband expansion. I've held a number of broadband roundtables across the state, and we all hear the heartbreaking stories of students having to go to a fast food restaurant parking lot just to get connected during the pandemic.
oh, I've done it as an adult many times.
People
Many
also
times.
had to actually go to a funeral home because that's who had the best Wi-Fi. Now, one of the best opportunities to expand broadband in this state has been bipartisan infrastructure bill. Another bipartisan piece of legislation that Senator Johnson voted
Your
against
time is up,
because he
Lieutenant
wanted to put
Governor.
politics
Your time is
first.
up. And we are at our last question, which we promised you would give you a chance to perhaps clear up some misconceptions. Dale?
Gentlemen, so during this debate or in campaign ads, you have heard things said about you that you believe are just plain wrong. In this last question, we want to give you the floor to set things straight.
Okay, my favorite was Mandela's
What's
Barnes
been
in
said
North
about
Korea.
you
That was
you
my favorite
really
one.
want to condemn? Senator Johnson, you can go first, and you have 1 minute.
Well, I'm very proud of my record as your U.S. Senator. One of the more grotesque distortions, in addition to the fact that I actually want to save Social Security, is the fact that I got a tax cut only for myself and a couple supporters. No, it's because of me. 95% of American businesses got a tax cut. So
Businesses, not people.
Not people at all.
Not businesses.
Not
Yeah,
people at all.
people.
And only if
Businesses.
you own a business, voters. Only if you own a business.
In terms of tax reform,
Also, our streaming one does not count as a business. He's not giving us any money or any tax cuts.
But my right to try
We're not even making any money.
that is saving
It's
people's
fine.
lives.
We'd rather not. We'd rather not make money off these
I think
interests.
they know we're not making any money.
Good, good,
And
good.
my background, my experience, 40 years of working in the private sector. I'm not sure what the Lieutenant Governor has ever done in terms of a job in the private sector. I know his mom's a teacher, his dad worked third shift. I also work third shift. So I know exactly what it's like to work in a factory. I know what it's like to work shift work. I know what it's like to create jobs because I've created them. I don't believe he has.
Thank you, Senator.
Lieutenant Governor.
Well, I actually embrace one of the characterizations in one of the ads that they put out, either Senator Johnson or one of his allies. It ends by saying Mandela Barnes, different. I embrace that because we don't have enough working class people in the United States Senate. The Senate is broken. Senator Johnson is one of the worst parts of a broken system. A person who has been in it for himself and his wealthy donor. Sure, if you're a multimillionaire, he'll look out for you. But if you're a working class person, it might not be so easy. That's the unfortunate reality. People are continuing to be left behind. And that's exactly why I'm running right now. Our lives and our livelihoods are on the line at this very moment. Our seniors have to live with the threat of Social Security and Medicare being cut. Working people have to live under the threat of their jobs being shipped overseas. Women have to live with the threat of their most personal decisions being interrupted by politicians. That's what's on the line right now. But I believe better is possible. I believe hard work can pay off and we can give everyone a fair shot at the American dream.
We'd like to thank both of you, and we'd also like to thank the teams that have helped us tonight. So we're going to thank AJ Bayatpour, Mark Leland, Kim Murphy, who we wish could have been with us, Monsi Ricosa, Dale Ryman, Brad Williams, and our data team who's been working behind the scenes to give you information so you can read more about it on the WBA's debate website and our social media accounts. And to find those, obviously, you can look them up, use the hashtag WBA debate. And that data team, by the way, is Emily Davies, Scotty Lee Myers, and Michelle Bike, and all
I'll
of
let
their
you guys
stations
finish that up,
that have
but
contributed their time to this effort. We'd also like to.
All right, but you know, that pretty much, you know, Mandela Barnes are pretty good.
Yeah,
like, he did better than I expected.
Yeah.
He did a lot better with the rhetoric in person than his website does.
Exactly.
And then his advertisements do too.
Yeah.
I've gotten a whole lot of like,
I support the please.
Yes.
Ads. Yeah.
Like look at me with my flannel and my puffy vest and my jeans. Like
Yeah.
I'm a working class guys, and he's always got a gallon of fucking milk. And I'm like, God damn.
The political imagery is not subtle.
Right. No, it's not. It makes me think of like when fucking Elizabeth Warren was like the honey, I'm getting a beer. Do you want a beer, honey? It's like, stop. Like,
you remember that
stop.
episode of The West Wing where they like specifically asked what the cost? That might have not been one that we got to.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there's something
there.
there.
Only Charlie knew the cost of a gallon of milk.
Yeah, like I mean, and shit. I mean, like they don't have to go shopping for themselves. Yeah, I mean, like, goddamn.
But like that's the exact same political image that they've been using like for 20 years to symbolize I'm in touch with the working class.
Which is like,
I think that wasn't that like one politician was asked like what was the cost of a gallon of milk and got stumped by it. I think that's exactly what they were referencing.
Yeah,
it's been like an enduring image.
I think so.
Yeah, like in all of his advertising, Mandela Barnes came off as kind of, I think I said to you before, a neoliberal who wants to look more progressive than he is.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's probably who he is. I have a lot of questions and doubts about his plans to help, quote unquote, small and medium manufacturing in Wisconsin. Because as someone who has worked for multiple small and medium manufacturing operations in Wisconsin, they are abusive and
they suck
exploitative and just as bad as the large manufacturers.
Yeah, and there's really no accountability to him because both politicians are trying to suck up to him.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And it sucks because it's like they're like, well, they're never gonna let you be a bigger industry, which is what they're going for. Like they're not like it's like no, they're gonna keep they're gonna keep those bigger competitors bigger than you, so you can't really raise until they just get lucky at the casino, basically. So it's. Yeah.
But no. Overall, I thought Mandela did great tonight.
He did a lot better. Like I
think he kicked Ron Johnson's ass.
No, he did
in this debate specifically.
No, and here's the thing: Ron Johnson did such a good job of like ignoring shit and being a piece of shit. Where it's already like, okay, like I feel very confident just to vote to fuck you.
Yeah.
Like where I'm like, okay, like I'm not like I'm still pissed off at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin
of course.
for their shit for taking the Green Party off in 2020. Like I'm still plenty pissed at that like their way to protect democracy is like by removing democracy. And like that's I mean it's insulting to me, but I'm still like Mandela Barnes. I mean still what bothers me, it's like I don't support not defunding the police, but he's just not embracing defunding the police, which I can still agree to. I can agree with them catching fire with it, or just saying like reallocating, or it's like Ron Johnson.
I think he has the sentiment, and he's just not using the slogan, which I have been advocating from the beginning.
Well,
I think it's a slogan that turns a lot of people off. I think Cory Booker had it right. Say
Well,
reallocation instead.
Well, and what I like is that Ron Johnson was forced to say reallocation and try to make that scary. And reallocation doesn't sound that scary. Like it's like really. The closest thing you can get to it is like collectivization. Like that's the biggest thing.
Baby.
Exactly. But it's like that kind of like Red Scare type of word where it's just like pictures of fucking marching men and mustaches come into your head. So like,
people with beards like mine holding ARs outside your door.
Yeah. apparently there's no one like me in any of these things. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's bro. Like that's how most of these societies work anyway. But no, dude, like he did a lot for. I liked the I hate the immigration question, but like I like the little like at least focus away of like we do need industrial. Like people are migrating out of the state, and we do need like a workforce to stay here because people who are having kids, their kids are fucking leaving because Wisconsin sucks.
Yeah,
and there's better. I mean, most
and like the our childbirth rate is just down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because people can't afford to have kids. Like, it's just... Yeah. I mean, you want people to have families and shit. Like, sorry, dude, I got you. Oh, damn. Thing is, if Republicans fucking believe in family values, then they need to make it easier for people to get married and have kids. Like, that's it. Like, if you want to have if they want people to get married, it's like they need to get paid enough to buy a fucking ring and have a fucking wedding. And then on top of that, then they know they're fucking ready to buy a house and have a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Like that's bro. If you like, it's like dude. You don't need the strong. If you want the strong traditional family values, you need to have a family that's not economically on the brink all the fucking time and doing stupid shit because like their mentality ain't fucking right and because they're not living like human beings. They're not living like how they're supposed to and how hard they're working. Yeah. Like that's how you get this shit where it's like I'm gonna go out to the club and like lose my fucking mind and end up shooting someone in the face. Like that's how you end up with this shit where it's like, damn, bro, you had like 3 fucking kids. Like, why aren't you like hanging out with them? And the fucking conservatives will tell you like, no, it's their values that did it. And it's like, no. Like they try to have values with these things. It's just that like your system of like that fucking church protecting them is not adequate. Yeah. It's not adequate at all because it's just all it is. They're just like collecting their resources and time and saying, okay, fuck off. It's up to you. Oh no, bro, we can't watch your kids for you. We can't, bro, we can't do that. We might hey, us as a religious institution, we'll fuck up your kids. We might even like fuck them up in a whole lot of ways you never even imagined. But, that's the risk you take by just, trusting us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't be up to the churches. They've done a terrible job.
No, they always do. They always do. I mean, they can't like raise the family. I mean, they can't raise, you can have your faith. I'm not trying to fuck with anyone's faith. It's just like you can't rely on it on the stake of society because that always fucks it up. Like we're not like the Romans anymore where it's like, okay, like everyone believes in Zeus. Everyone believes that it's like you have to sacrifice these bird guts to like determine the future. And that system sucked too. That system was also fucking horrible. I mean, granted we did like, based like certain like what some of these people thought like on certain foundations of our society like our calendar like for instance, but why is February shorter? Because the Romans thought it was unlucky. That's the only reason. The only reason I'm confused and like if it's the 30th or the 31st is because of the fucking Romans. Like they could have fixed this shit up and made it even, but no. We have to fuck with the calendar.
There would still be some drift because
there would because you have that quarter day. You have that quarter day, and you could have like the one leap year. But I remember the leap year by every election year. But no. We have to like determine like we couldn't even just be like every month or but because February fucks with it. February is the one that just goes like nah like
yeah February is fucked
right like
I do always like that extra day. A little extra day before I have to pay rent.
No, and I get that. I get the leap year concept. I get every 4 years having the extra one. That's fine. It's just the whole like, why does?
No, I meant I like the 31st day of some months.
No, I get that, and that's okay. Well, I guess, but like, just taking a couple away to make 130, and then you still have a couple of them. Like you have less of them being the 31st. You just have like 1 month. 1 month just catches up. You redistribute the days.
We don't need to debate about the fucking
You need to redistribute the dates, okay? This is an old-fashioned system, and it's completely. The whole society is going to change because of this. Year zero, people. Year zero.
I thought what we were talking about before the stream was
over.
Real shit,
I know. No,
this
is the real shit. All right. Yeah, but off topic there. But no, I gotta say, dude, because like I still have my ballot at home. I still have my absentee ballot, which I'm like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of ads lately where it's all just like, get your absentee ballot today. Do it. I'm gonna say to anyone who like doesn't believe in the absentee ballot and it doesn't work, I'm like, guys, it's so much fucking easier.
I just like going there.
I don't like going in there at all because you have to. Because here's the thing: most people go in there and they don't even know who the fuck these people are. I'd rather have people if it's like, okay, if you don't know who the fuck these people are, you can bring it in front of your computer and you can just go like, okay, what are you about, Ron Johnson? You're about, oh fuck. You can watch the debate right here if you want to and just like decide for yourself, like right there, as opposed to like having to do all this preparation and like be ready before the thing happens. But granted, I do understand the idea of like, oh, well, something could happen right before election day that changes your vote. Usually I have to get cemented.
No, you're obstinate as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I am.
Don't change your mind.
Yeah, I know. I have to. Well, Tim, Mandela Barnes was like gray area for me. Like with all the advertisements and how he looked, I was like, okay, like maybe not. Maybe not with them. I got to see how this is. He did a lot better here. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if he were to join. Here's the thing. It'd be nice if you were to join the squad and the squad were to actually like vote as a unit. That would be.
Well, the squad is in the House and he's in the Senate.
Well, yeah, and that to establish all of that. Like, it'd be nice if they could all, like, talk together and fucking establish, like, a strong base and plans of attack separately. I would appreciate that. I'm not seeing that kind of unity so far. I'm kind of just seeing, like, a different branch of democratic careerism. That's all I'm kind of seeing from them. And that's my pessimistic opinion of them. So, I mean, in my opinion, it's reality, but, like, it's... like, yeah. I mean, it is.
I will let the self-delusion of that statement speak for itself.
Okay.
I won't even offer comments.
Oh, I suppose so. I suppose we don't pay attention to what I said there. Like, I mean, it is the reality. They're just, like, kind of, like... I just
Kilian, see what you just...
I know, Tim. I know.
I will let your words...
Speak for themselves. It's on a stream. I fucked up. I know I fucked it up after I said it. But Jesus Christ, Tim. I mean, either way, I still think like it's still gonna be better to have him in there than Ron Johnson. It's just a matter of like, are we gonna get is this gonna get all those people out there? Is this gonna enough to get the youth and those independents to go to Tim? And I gotta say, I think with this debate, he did better with independents than I would have expected. I think he did a lot better with them because all Ron Johnson had to say about half of these questions is like, it's not my fault, I'm running away. Is my the whole January 6th thing. His answer to it is like, I'm running away.
Yeah.
And Kenosha. Look at Kenosha. Look at Kenosha.
Yeah.
Like it's not me.
As though it was in Kenosha, who lives in Kenosha. Like, yeah, that was kind of just our own messy shit. And, like, doesn't, I think, say much about, like, the state of law enforcement in this country.
And I loved how he mentioned, like, well, 2 people died there. And I'm like,
yeah. But people that you, like, supported being, like, I'm sure you, like, offered them a fucking internship.
Right.
You, like, maniacs.
Right. Like, it's like, once you get out of the Proud Boys, son, like, give my office a call. Like, that's pretty much it. So, I mean, while you let the Hitler Youth go out and, like, mow people down... And like fucking like, and that's the thing. He doesn't even want to say his fucking name, and it's like, that was a smart move. And it's like, I mean, I know Mandela is picking his points. He's choosing his battles. It'd be nice if he could throw Rittenhouse in there, but hey, he had limited time. He was getting those shots in there. Nice hands out there. Nice hands out there, Boyle. Like you took him to task. And the thing is too is that Ron Johnson was constantly on the defensive and throwing up, and whatever offense he had, it was straw men. It was stuff that was like easily like throwawayable. And the thing is too, is that like it's only really appealable to like people who are already in his base. And he lost a lot of those people once he gave up the like, yes, Mike Pence is right. Once he gave that out, those huge Trumpers who were getting him in office in the first place.
Tim Michael's guys are going to abandon him.
No, they're going to abandon him. And that's the split in the Republic. I mean, that's at least kind of like a little revealing, like at least a little bit better about like some of the Trump like drama in this is that it's like there are these factions in the Republican Party, and it's not a libertarian. It's a bigger split than that.
Yeah.
It's and I appreciate a split like that, and it's just scary about like I mean they're both fucking terrifying, and they're both dangerous to society.
Yeah.
Like, but at least having that like split that's bigger. I mean. Democratic split. There's a big split in it too. But the thing is that like I am more united on like fuck Ron Johnson with this. Is that like Mandela Barnes is I can live with him enough.
Yeah.
I can live with him enough.
I think that's where we'll leave it. I have to go take a piss.
You have to go take a piss.
But I feel like Mandela Barnes good enough
he did a good job.
Yeah.
It's enough for me to just ignore the poor independent write-in who I was considering like, well, if you really piss me off, I'll throw him to him. But he did a good job.
Yeah.
Anyway. Thanks for tuning in, Work and Wing fans.
Yeah.
Well,
more content to follow soon.
More content to follow soon. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Until next time, keep working.
Keep on.